Today we're discussing 6 of the creepiest Pokemon theories, and judging whether or not they could actually be true. This first one is a classic. Did Red unalive Blue's Raticate? Typically, you slowly watch your rival build their final team, such as Barry slowly building up the roster he has in his final battle, but Blue is one of the exceptions. In his third battle in Cerulean City, Blue adds a Rattata to his team. Then in his fourth battle, his Rattata has evolved into a level 16 Raticate, but when you get to his fifth battle in Lavender Town, Raticate's gone. Pokemon Tower is a cemetery where deceased Pokemon are laid to rest. So why is Blue here and handicapping himself by only having 5 Pokemon? Unless he doesn't have Raticate anymore. What if you, the player, accidentally fatally injured Blue's Raticate, and with no centers on the SS Anne, Blue was too late to save his friend, leaving Blue to mourn the mouse Pokemon? Yeah, Rattata and Raticate are the mouse Pokemon despite their names. I think this theory is a fun headcanon, but not actual canon. In yellow, Blue temporarily adds a Spearow, later Fearow, to his team, but like Raticate, Fearow is eventually dropped. Yet there's no theories about a dead Fearow. Blue could have just benched Raticate when they started underperforming. As for why he doesn't just keep Raticate around, think about it like this. For the player, it's easy to just stay in one spot and train a while. After all, the world literally revolves around us, but NPCs like Blue don't have that luxury. Blue has to balance how long he trains so that Red doesn't get ahead, so put yourself in Blue's shoes here. Sure, you could keep Raticate around for that 6th team slot, but now you're splitting EXP for a Mon that won't be on your final team. It just makes sense to only focus on Pokemon with higher power levels. At that point, Raticate is to Blue what an HM Mule is to us. Blue's Raticate is perfectly fine, just benched with his other 40 Pokemon. For our next theory, who is Cubone's original mother? Yes, in the games and Origins, Cubone's mother is definitely a Marowak. But how did this species start? Cubone's Dex entries discuss how the skull they wear is their mother's, so there had to be an original Cubone that jumpstarted this species. A Pokemon who did lose their mother and wore her skull for protection. There are 2 possible suspects. Earlier this year, I discussed the theory that Kangaskhan is Cubone's mom. Kangaskhan and Marowak have a lot of design similarities. Cubone can call Kangaskhan as an SOS ally in Alola. Most importantly, they might have initially been in the same evolution line. Some Gen 1 glitches imply that Kangaskhan originally had a pre-evolution. Kangaskhan and Cubone were designed around the same time. Meanwhile, Marowak wasn't designed until much later, and Marowak almost had an evolution who looks a lot like Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan's a very protective mom, prioritizing her kids over her health. A Kangaskhan could very likely lose her life protecting her child, leaving the baby Kangaskhan to have to adapt and fend for themselves. Alternatively, what if Charizard is Cubone's original mother? Cubone's skull looks a lot more like Charizard's head than Kangaskhan's. For why Cubone is ground type, this is a theory in itself. Maybe without Charizard, a baby Charmander's fire can't be fostered, and the ground typing is from how bone-based moves are ground type. But did Cubone have a mother before Marowak? If we're talking Kangaskhan, this is a fun headcanon, and my headcanon. As I said, Cubone's mother now is Marowak, but if this species was artificially created, for lack of a better term, then it's possible that the first Cubone was actually a baby Kangaskhan, one who lost her mother, used her bones to protect herself, and thus created a whole new species that could procreate naturally. Next up, we're going over an anime theory. Is Ash Ketchum in a coma? For nearly 30 years, Ash Ketchum served as the anime's protagonist, yet throughout his time, Ash remained 10 years old the whole time, despite the numerous times where the passage of time was referenced. What could be the reason that Ash stayed 10 years old all this time? What if, in the first episode, when Pikachu attacked all those Spearow, Ash Ketchum was put into a coma, and all his adventures throughout Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, etc. were all just a dream he's been having in his sleep? Yeah, no, I'm not even humoring this one. First off, we already know how Ash Ketchum's journey ended. He became the strongest trainer and continued his journey. He didn't suddenly wake up as a man in his late 30s after beating Leon. Plus, why would you even want this theory to be true? But okay, maybe there's another reason Ash hasn't aged at all. After all, Liko and Roy have aged, so why didn't Ash? Well, let's take a look at the first episode again. After defeating the Spearow, Ash and Pikachu saw Ho-Oh flying by. It's said that those who see Ho-Oh are granted eternal happiness. In the anime, we see that nothing makes Ash happier than Pokemon. So did Ho-Oh make Ash immortal? Probably not, but he did get happiness. Maybe Ash having eternal youth is a bit much. After all, characters like Misty and Brock also haven't aged at all. Most Pokemon characters don't age for one simple reason: their current designs are the most marketable. And isn't that the deciding factor behind most media nowadays? Now we have a truly dark theory. Did Ghetsis unalive Hilbert and Hilda? At the end of Black and White, Ghetsis is stopped by Hilbert or Hilda, and the failure of his perfect plan seemed to have broken him a bit. Then in Black 2 and White 2, Ghetsis returns to enact his revenge. But Hilbert and Hilda are nowhere to be found to save Unova again. So where are Hilbert and Hilda? Why didn't they show up to help? Unless they're not around anymore. We see in the sequels how unstable Ghetsis has become. His new battle theme even reflects his insanity. So if Ghetsis had plans of returning and trying to take over Unova by force, he might hunt down the people who originally stopped him, and was, of course, nowhere to be found, traveling in an unknown place. But Hilbert and Hilda might have still been acting as champion at the time, so once Ghetsis had the chance, he would have taken out his biggest threat. So did Ghetsis unalive Hilbert and Hilda? I think this theory is just a theory.
A gay theory.
Okay, I know Pokemon can get pretty dark sometimes, but this has always felt like a bridge too far for me. While dead human characters aren't unheard of for the franchise, there's no way the Pokemon Company would add a protagonist to that list, especially since Hilbert and Hilda might have been planned to be in the sequels. Scrapped dialogue implies they were gonna be in the World Tournament. It's likely why they have animated sprites in Black 2 and White 2. And we do know where Hilbert and Hilda are, kind of. It's likely that they're still traveling the world searching for N. After all, how would they know that N had returned to Unova? This is probably why Looker also isn't in the sequels. And while it's not canon, Masters does imply this was the case. Next is the most recent theory here. Is Mimikyu a dead Pichu? Mimikyu's true identity is one of the biggest ongoing mysteries. All we know is that Mimikyu is so ugly that everyone dies. The end. But as a ghost type, surely Mimikyu was once alive, right? Other ghost types like a mask are the ghosts of deceased beings. So what was Mimikyu when they were alive? What if Mimikyu is a dead Pichu? One who died before getting the chance to evolve into Pikachu. As such, they now hold resentment towards living Pikachu. It would also be befitting of Mimikyu's name. Like most children, Pichu would learn by mimicking Pikachu. And that's all the evidence that really works here. Sure, being a dead Pichu would explain the ghost typing, but where does the fairy typing come from? Pikachu is in the fairy egg group, so that could be one explanation, but this theory is for a dead Pichu who's in the undiscovered egg group. And while it's a different canon, we meet Mimikins in the anime, a ghost of a Mimikyu. So there might be a difference between ghost types and actual ghosts, meaning Mimikyu isn't the ghost of any Pokemon. Or maybe in Pokemon, ghosts can die again. So is Mimikyu a dead Pichu? I don't think so. I should also mention the alternate theory that Mimikyu is a dead Dene, but the only thing that adds for me is the fairy typing. Now we have our final theory. Who is Ash Ketchum's father? Well, depending on who you ask, there's quite a few options, but I'm only going to focus on the top 6 options. Well, top 3 plus 3 meme options. We can end this video on a more silly note. Ash's father is a strange enigma with very little information on him, but from interviews with those who worked on the anime, we know this. Ash's father is still alive, and he was, or maybe still is, a trainer himself. The first theory is that Ash's father is Professor Oak. Since the start of the series, Professor Oak has had a strange interest in Ash. Professor Oak takes care of Ash's extra Pokemon, always gives Ash advice during his travels, and on top of all that, he and Delia seem to hang out a bit too much. Plus, Professor Oak was a great trainer himself in the past. Delia has even known Professor Oak since her youth. But alternatively, Giovanni, leader of Team Rocket, could be Ash's father. As a gym leader, Giovanni could certainly be called a great trainer. Another detail of Ash's father is how absentee he is. Takeshi Shudo, the anime's OG writer, made a novelization of the anime. In this, we learn that Delia had Ash at just 18 years old, and not too soon after Ash was born, his father just dipped, continuing his journey while Delia stayed back to raise their child alone. And as we see in Gen 4, Giovanni can definitely be seen as a deadbeat. And on top of all this, we have Pokemon Live, an officially licensed musical that implies that Delia and Giovanni once dated. And finally, there's Silver from Pokemon Chronicles. Once again, he's a trainer on a journey of sorts far from home. But unlike Professor Oak and Giovanni, who are nonchalant with and don't know who Ash is respectively, Silver seemed to have a notable reaction upon hearing Ash's name.
It's just like this friend of mine, a Pokemon trainer named Ash.
Ash?
But now for our meme pics, Mimikyu and Ash's Pikachu. Hey, there was once a time where humans and Pokemon marry. Love is love, even if your love is a creepy clown or a foot-tall mouse. Like Professor Oak, Mimikyu sure spends a lot of time with Delia. Mimikyu even has dark hair like Ash. And look at Mimikyu eating out of a dog food bowl. This is a kinky couple. Sure, Mimikyu didn't appear until the 64th episode, but clearly him being in the circus just shows how he failed as a trainer, which was also part of Takeshi Shudo's lore for the Ketchum family. But Pikachu could also be Ash's father, or at least his reincarnation. That was the case in Detective Pikachu, minus the reincarnation part. Plus, look at Delia sleeping with Pikachu. Again, kinky. So which of these 5 options is Ash Ketchum's papa? Personally, I don't think it's any of them, because Ash's father is clearly option 6, Tom Ado from episode 42. And there you have it, folks. The creepiest Pokemon theories, and if they're true. But what did you think about the theories we discussed here? Which theory was your favorite? Will Tom Ado ever stop cheating on Delia with anchovy and Caesar salad?
Did he betray us like that bastard?
Tomato.
Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe to join the Lot Bunny Appreciation Super Squad today, and become a member if you're interested. It's only $2 a month. Have a nice day, you wonderful people. What if you, the player, accidentally fatally injured Blue's... After all, the world literally... There are 2 possible subs... For nearly 30 years, Ash Ketchum served as the and officially licensed Silver seemed to have a notable reaction of So which of these 5 options is Ash Ketchum's